Welcome to the 10th episode of the second season of E Says, P Says, your bi-weekly dose of Black love. My name is Ellen, the E.
And my name is Paul, the P. For those of you tuning in for the first time, we decided to start this podcast to celebrate a milestone in our relationship. 36 years of wedded bliss, and now we will be married 37 years as of 4/22/2026. Each other week, we'll share a part of our relationship with you so you can see what has brought us this far and what will take us further. Before we get into today's episode, let's start with a moment of gratitude. I am grateful for life. I am grateful for being able to spend time with my wife and family. And I'm certainly grateful for being able to see another day where the sun is shining. And Ellen, what are you grateful for?
Yes, it's wonderful to see the sunshine, although it's weird as you walk down the different areas to see the scattered piles of snow from the previous couple of weeks when it snowed and we had ice. So that's really good. A nice warm day today. And I'm also grateful for us still standing and the coming season of mocks, which starts this month on the 17th with my birthday and then continues through to June, mid-June, with the birthdays and anniversaries of the rest of the family. So previously, we discussed our relationship bucket list. 10 things we would like to do as a couple. If you missed it, take a listen and set your relationship goals. And if you're a newbie, welcome. And please subscribe so you can catch up and listen to all of our episodes. This week, we will discuss us almost not making it. I know that you can't believe that us not making it was even an issue with this much graceness, but it happens.
Yes, greatness, but nonetheless, our relationship was in jeopardy. Now, of course, this is not a recent phenomenon. This is something that happened years and years ago when we were children. If I'm not mistaken, one was in middle school and one was in high school, or just starting high school. So we went through our own little blips and bumps and stuff like that. There's no way that you're going to be in a relationship for 30 something years and there's not going to be some issues. All right.
Very true. And we have reached around year 12 or 13, and our relationship, it just wasn't working. At every turn, we were arguing about something. It could get really, really petty too. Like you put the toilet paper on the roll the wrong way. But mostly, I can admit I was upset that Paul accepted new employment after we discussed him waiting at least 3 months till I finished my probationary period to start looking for work. At least one of us would be solid. However, a mouse got in his ear and he thought he needed to man up. All I will say is it says in the Bible, leave and cleave, and in the vows, let no man put asunder. So if someone makes a comment or strikes up a convo about something you and your spouse have decided, talk to your partner about it. Because secrets can kill a relationship, and it all may be met in a positive manner. However, meddling almost ended my relationship. So to those inclined, mind your business or have that conversation with both parties.
I agree. Because listening to other people can also ruin a relationship and tear a marriage asunder. So you have to be careful who you're listening to and what information you internalize. Because, it might be a certain situation where your partner may not have any issue with it. Ellen wasn't concerned that I wasn't working at the time. But, it was a combination of things. So that machismo and with, being what my definition of a man was. So being in the world, being in the United States, you know, you get immersed in what America's definition of a man is, right? Man is supposed to be a protector and provider, and you can get caught up in those narratives. And if you're not careful, it can hurt your marriage.
Yes, and to give you some background, my husband had just finished his second year of teaching in Baltimore City public schools. He'd been teaching middle school, seventh grade, 30 plus kids, several classes every day. And I'd say near the end of that school year, we relocated to the suburbs where we have been in the past 20 years. So he went from being able to commute on the bus and get to work in maybe 30, 45 minutes to fortunately having a coworker that would ride share with him to commuting. So he had to ride share into Baltimore. So he was getting up earlier to get into work, and then he was coming home after work. He wasn't driving, but just dealing with traffic and commuting. He was more tired and worn out than he usually would. Because, you get on the bus 45 minutes. By the time you get home, you're refreshed. You walk to the house, you've taken your cool down break, and you're, ready to start the second part of your day with your family. But I looked at my husband after the last day of school, and I was like, that man is exhausted. Have you ever seen your partner just look like a zombie? I mean, he was just walking around. He was doing something in the kitchen, and I think I said something to him, and he looked at me just like he looked past me, and I was like, "Oh no, oh no." I was like, and he was supposed to go back. He was supposed to go back to Baltimore City for the fall, and at that time he wasn't a driver. He wasn't driving. So moving to the suburbs, unless he got a job in the city teaching, he wasn't going to be able to teach. And at that time there were not that many positions available, and he only had his interim license. And Frederick County teaching standards were more stringent than Baltimore City. So I just told him to relax. I had it. I had become recently employed, and I was helping my aunt who was doing real estate in the DC area on the weekends off and on, and she was giving us a little change, and we were fine. My husband needed to rest, relax, and recuperate, and then decide what he was going to do. And I know if he will admit it, he will say that he was exhausted.
Yeah, I was really tired. It had been a long, life to say that had been very, very long.
So that was the other, so the little birdie did not, they saw something that they thought they saw, and if they'd asked some questions, they would have understood what was going on.
Yeah.
But everybody want to make their decision about their life. So in the midst of all of our arguments and pettiness, I had a moment of clarity. And I believe that Paul was headed out the door, and we pretty much decided we were done. And one of us was heading to the courthouse that day or the next. And as he walked out, I called him back, and I said, if we're going to move forward with ending our relationship, we need to talk to someone. Because if we end on this note, or at this moment, we will not be good parents to our children. Paul agreed, and when he returned home, I suggested we start by talking to our minister.
I thought that was at first I definitely had reservations, but then as I thought about it, I said, well, I don't hate Ellen. I just really dislike her at this particular time. And we had 2 children involved. And so I think that was the best decision at that particular time to go ahead and speak to our minister, who we both respected. And and uh and that's exactly what we decided to do. And I'm glad we did make that decision, because that was a game changer in our
Yes,
relationship.
it was.
Going to see her and have her speak to us firstly together, and then secondly to speak to us apart. And slowly we were able to kind of repair some of the damage that had been done in the relationship. So Just to let everybody know. Don't ever think you're too good to get counseling or go talk to somebody in your relationship. And try to say to yourself, whenever you get mad at your spouse, you say you're gonna leave, is this all that we can do? Is it just over, or can we talk to somebody and hopefully repair it? Because God doesn't want us to be uh divorced if at all possible. Now, if there's a situation where there's a physical abuse or something like that, or emotional abuse going on, or something like that, and then maybe there's no hope for the marriage, you know, and more often than not, there is no hope for the marriage. Okay. So that's something else that you have to take into consideration too.
So after our brief conversation, I called our minister, Tony. Yes, we call our minister by her first name. If you want to put some sauce on it, you can call her Reverend Tony. Anywho, we were scheduled for the upcoming Friday afternoon or Saturday. It's been a while, and we got to work. After the first or second session, Tony separated us. I would see her one day, and Paul would see her another. During those sessions, Tony figured out that I needed more individual counseling due to depression, and she may not have used the term depression. She said I was dealing with some things that were outside of her scope of understanding or purview. So she referred me to a counselor in the congregation that assisted me with getting the help I needed for me.
I also worked with Tony and came to realize that I still love my wife and wanted to make our marriage work. And the reason that I realized this is that she asked me if I still loved them. This question still offends me to this day. Because it was not that I didn't love Ellen. And just to go, and to anybody that's listening out there, you may actually really love your spouse, but you can have a deep dislike. Okay, that could tear a marriage apart. But if you can come to some type of understanding where you can get a third party involved, which is remember, understand something. You are going to be entrenched in your viewpoint. She's going to be entrenched in her viewpoint. You need somebody to come in there. It's like arbitration with baseball. Somebody got to break the tie. Team says that, I should get XYZ because they look at my statistics and this and that. And so this is what they determined I should get. I feel I should get something else. The arbitrator is going to come somewhere in the middle. So you need a counselor a lot of times, guys, to kind of break the tie, so to speak. Okay? So let's keep that in mind. Is it over? Really? Is it over? Or is it something that can actually be worked out? Because a lot of times you can work things out, but you got to get somebody in there in the middle there to kind of look at both points of view, right? Because remember what I said, you entrenched in your viewpoint, she's entrenched in hers. So you need a person to come in there, kind of look at each of your viewpoints, value them, you see them as being valued, and then hopefully you can come somewhere in the middle. Not always an easy thing to happen. So it's something to think about.
And as you can hear his voice escalate, you should have been in the car because I think I came to pick him up after that session. And he got in the car and he was like, "You will not believe what Tony asked me today." And I was like, what's wrong with you? I mean, up until that point, we really didn't discuss our separate sessions with each other.
Right.
And he said, she had the nerve to ask me if I still love my wife. And she was like, "It's okay, people fall out of love." And he was like, "What?" He was like, "I didn't come here for that." He said, "I didn't come here because I don't love my wife." He was very upset, and I think I had to talk him down. He was like, "I don't think I want to go back anymore." And I was like, "She's not asking you that question to upset you. She's just asked because sometimes couples fall out of love, and she has to figure out which way she's going, because she knows us as Paul and Ellen, her congregation members, but she doesn't know us as Paul and Ellen individuals in our marriage and what we feel and believe. So, and as you can see, he's still upset about her asking him that. But I talked him down, and we continued, and I think she did some more separate sessions with us after the love incident.
Yeah.
And we were able to figure out and get some tools from those sessions and figure it out and manage to avoid divorce after
Right.
in in our marriage. And I won't say it was immediate,
Right.
because we're still, like he said, entrenched in our own viewpoint. Regardless of what the third party is saying,
Yeah.
you still feel some type of way. But you have to start to take some of that stuff in and realize what's best for you and your spouse and your children.
Yes.
So we decided to save our marriage, not for the kids, but for us. And that was, as you can see, because we genuinely loved and cared for each other, and we wanted to work together so that we got some tips and stay more connected as a couple. And the main part of a lot of this was me getting individual help for what turned out to be depression. And I had been on and off in that therapy roller coaster for several years. However, there are times you need a tune up, and times there are needs that surface when you are working on something else. And no, I have not had the same therapist. And yes, you may go through a few until you start to see progress. So keep going when you do not want to. So keep going when you do not want to, because it can save you and your relationships.
Absolutely. It's important to keep going and to get help if you feel you need help. So there's nothing wrong with that. I think too, a lot of times we in the Black community, we think, you know, it's either go to the minister or you just suffer in silence. And we don't think about, more so this is becoming more of a thing that where Black people are actually going to see a psychologist, a psychiatrist, which is something that people of the other persuasion, white people have been doing for years. But we as Black people, for some reason, we just felt like it was like something that we shouldn't be doing, or it was a sign of weakness, and it's not. It's just it's good. It's good. The mental. Look at all the stuff you're seeing on TV about mental health. Mental health is important, just as important, and not more so important than physical health. So we have to really, I mean, in the mental can drain down into the physical and impact your physical health if you're not careful. So you have to respect that, right? Go ahead with me.
Yeah. So after completing therapy and getting through to the other side, Paul and I renewed our vows in May of 2004 for our 15th wedding anniversary to recommit to each other and celebrate the work, love, friendship, and couplehood we achieved. Tony was our minister for the ceremony, and we had the big blowout wedding we didn't have the first time around. It was great. However,
Yes.
if we renew our vows again, it will be at a destination or on a cruise. And I think it'll be something small with just us or just us and the kids. Perhaps something for our 40th. What do you think?
I would love it. Great.
Always an excuse to have a party.
Yeah, that's right. That's always awesome. So let's say, before I'm going to get into this before our mock minute. Let us begin with a Black History moment. Today, let us honor my uncle, Hilliard W. Pouncey Jr. My uncle was born on February 1922 in Pritchard, Alabama. He was raised by his grandparents in Eupholia, Alabama. He passed away on December 16, 2025. In between his birth and death, he lived a life where he was valedictorian of his high school, attended Tuskegee in Alabama, where he studied chemistry and went into the military and became a Tuskegee Airman as a bombardier at Tuskegee. At Tuskegee, he met the love of his life, my aunt, Maddie. He earned his master's and PhD in chemistry from Syracuse University and worked with Union Carbide until he retired. In that position, he was also able to work as a technical advisor in Saudi Arabia for the oil industry. Fortunately, I was able to spend a little time with him a few years ago before he passed. Even at the age of 101, he was still sharp and engaged with us. I was hoping to get to see him again. Unfortunately, life was life, and we didn't get to meet again. If you would like to hear more about my uncle, I have included a link in the show description to a tribute to him on the House floor by Congressman Macbeth.
Thank you for that, Paul. And our uncle will be missed, definitely.
Yes, will.
Yes. And so now for a mock minute. And this mock minute is brought to you by Vignettes from a South Central Sun by Paul G. Mock. Make sure you pick up a copy soon so you'll be ready for South Central Sun, Still Standing, Vignettes Part 2, coming soon. The link to our website and Amazon will be in the comments if you'd like to pick up a copy. Today we will discuss joy, and what brings me joy is seeing successful relationships, friends, or others achieving success in their lives with a particular goal or aspiration they achieve. For me, a few examples of seeing this are with Nelly and Ashanti spinning the block, getting married and having a baby, and every time I see them together, they are just cheesing and laughing. I have never seen either of them so happy. Another person is our friend we interviewed previously about mental health. She received her doctorate last year, and now she is known as Dr. Dash. You can catch her on Facebook breaking down relationship and life topics like only she can with Ask Dr. Dash. And she also has a new book out, Same Devil, Different Faces. I will put the link in the show description and another person in the show description. And another person that brings me joy is our friend Sabrina, finding love and getting married for the first time in her seasoned years. And just like Nelly and Ashanti, every time I see her and her hubby, she is always smiling. Now, him, LOL, sometimes. But if you knew Sabrina, you'd know by the end of their first year, he will be cheesing too. And I'm happy for all of the above because finding love and your passion in life are the best things you can hope for. Ask us. Ask us. We're always seasoning photos too. LOL. Paul, what brings you joy? Paul, or do you just want to comment on what I stated?
Well, I'm always joyful when I see people doing well in life. I'm particularly proud of Dr. Dash uh, and for all of her achievements. She's an inspiration to both myself and us. And I'm very proud of Sabrina. I'm glad to see that I'm happy. And it was really nice to see her at her wedding. Uh, and then finally, I'm happy. I want to give a shout out to a Miss Regina Cosley, who my wife had reached out to her and some other people, and she actually bought a copy of my book and wrote a beautiful review on Amazon. So I just want to give her a shout out and thank her for her support.
Would you like to read that review, Paul?
Maybe during the
Next,
time that we do our podcast, I'd like to read what she wrote.
Okay.
Beautifully done.
All right. Well, the link will be in the description, so you can check it out there if you don't, if you missed the next episode.
We are not therapists, just hoping to help others through our crazy love story. Shout out to everyone who took a few moments out of their day to listen. We hope that anything you heard was helpful.
Is there someone or some cause in your life that has gone beyond expectations or given more than expected? Well, why don't you show your appreciation by giving your time, talent, or funds to them? And please feel free to share who or whom you appreciate. It feels good to say thanks. Or you can send a note or leave one on our social media platforms to thank someone you know working hard at whatever it is that they do that is making lasting change in their field or the world. You can also check out our website, mockmediagroup.com, where you can listen and learn about all things happening with the Mocks. If you like this content, I'd love your support in improving the show. Donate at buymeacoffee.com/Mock Media Group to help cover hosting costs, gear upgrades, and to give us more time to create great content for you. And make sure to subscribe on any platform you listen to podcasts so you don't miss an episode.
Thanks for joining us this week when E Says P Says, your weekly dose of Black love. You can also check us out and keep up with us on our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Media Group, Mock Media Group. And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your preferred platform so that you don't miss any of our episodes. And feel free to leave any questions or comments on one of our social media platforms. See you in a couple of weeks.
1,